Animals are commonly found on the farm and in the garden. Now, in some cases, these are domestic animals, such as chickens, or even pets, such as dogs and cats, that we have control over. But in many cases, these animals are uninvited. They could be larger animals, such as deer. They could be smaller animals, such as rabbits, raccoons, possums, or skunks, perhaps even birds. The problem with having animals in the garden is that animals produce poop. And this poop can contain the germs that can make people sick, especially if poop ends up on produce. In this video, we're going to talk about, first of all, good behavior for pets and domestic animals in the garden. Then we're going to talk about what to do if we do find evidence of animals in the garden, particularly if we find poop in the garden. Try to keep domestic animals and pets out of the community garden. But if pets are allowed in the garden, they should be under restraint, on a leash or somehow otherwise constrained to keep them from contacting the produce. If an animal, a pet, poops in the community garden, clean up the poop immediately. Make sure that there is no risk of contamination from that poop and dispose of the poop, and then wash your hands. Poop carries risk. It contains the germs that can make people sick, and if poop ends up on produce, this can be a serious situation. As you work in the garden or on the farm, watch your produce, and if you see evidence of poop, have a plan in place to deal with that situation. A common approach is to flag the area where poop is found, and then come back and decontaminate the area, generally using a shovel and a bucket. Scoop the poop up, make sure that you don't scatter it around, and place it in the bucket. Leave the flag in place. This will alert others that poop has been found in that area. And then if poop actually contacts produce, remove that produce and destroy it. It can be a good practice to also remove other produce in the vicinity if there is a risk of contamination. What might a risk be? Well, perhaps it's rained since the poop was deposited. Perhaps it's poop that is light and watery and has spread beyond where it was originally deposited, or perhaps someone stepped in the poop and spread it around. Once the poop has been placed in the bucket, carry it and the shovel out of the garden and dispose of it so that it doesn't pose a risk for further contamination. Wash the bucket, wash the shovel, and sanitize the bucket and shovel. And then wash your hands. Always check produce carefully for bird droppings. Birds perch on trellises, they perch on posts, they perch on overhead wires, and they leave droppings in the garden or on the farm. Any produce that is contaminated with bird droppings should be destroyed. In conclusion, remember that poop carries risk. Poop can contain the germs that can make people sick. We do have animals in the garden, and it's important that we be vigilant to make sure that produce isn't contaminated from the poop from those animals. I'm Patrick Byers, Horticulture Field Specialist and Produce Food Safety Specialist with University of Missouri Extension.